Yeah, one more coming.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
All right. Councilmember Reed, we have a full quorum in person, so we
We were
will.
both wheeling in the parking lot. Mm-hmm.
Jessica, are we recording that?
We are recording. I'm gonna be cutting off all of this as I walk back and forth. If you haven't already, please sign up. Thank you. And one more quick housekeeping issue. We weren't able to do a podium, I apologize. So, if you would like to, if there are questions, please feel free to come up and sit with and in the hot seat.
The hot seat, I know.
And committee members, I'm passing out the, report overview and the application summary. There were some last minute changes. I apologize for that.
You sent this, right?
Yeah,
So I have a copy.
yeah, okay, great. Would anyone, you don't need a copy?
I like to hold things.
Okay.
Very,
And I know you have this, but I will.
You gave it to Chris. Jessica, you gave it to me.
It's in the packet.
Thank you.
and I can meeting to order. Good evening, this is Samantha Old Fry, and I am calling the September committee meeting of the Social Services Committee to order. Jessica, can you please call the roll?
Thank you. Council, or Chair Olds-Fry,
Present.
Vice Chair O'Hanian,
Present.
Rowling,
Present.
Kathy Hayes,
Present.
Councilmember Burns,
I'm here.
Renee Phillips,
I'm here.
and Member Reed.
And Councilmember Reed is participating at the moment via phone, but will be joining us in person shortly. And with
Yes.
that, we have a quorum. We will begin our meeting today with public comment. I'll note, we'll have public comment later in the day as well, or later in the meeting. However, if there are any initial public comments, or if there have been any that have been electronically submitted, we can. Thank you.
None submitted electronically, but I would like to introduce Renee Phillips, our new member.
Hello.
First time meeting for your first meeting. Darn it. All right. Next agenda item, I have approval of our meetings for our July committee meeting. We did not have a meeting in August. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Wonderful, thank you, Ken. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, and can you please call the roll, Jessica?
Yes, Chair Olds-Fry,
Aye.
Vice Chair O'Hanian,
Yes.
Kathy Hayes,
Yes.
Rowling,
Yes.
Councilmember Burns,
I'm staying, I don't think I was here for that.
and Renee Phillips.
And Councilmember Reed votes? Councilmember Reed, were you at the
Aye.
July meeting? Aye. All right, with a vote of 5-0-2, the meeting minutes for July have been approved. All right, we now have a discussion. Very important to note that no votes will be taken on this for FY '23 case management program outcomes and update with the staff report. And with that, on the floor over to Jessica.
Thanks so much. So I just wanted to open this discussion by explaining, staff's review process, for all reports. I start by just looking at the numbers submitted. So agencies report Evanston residents served and their total population served. I confirmed that those numbers also match the household income information and demographics information, that's been submitted. I do contact agencies to work out any inconsistencies because sometimes the reports are problematic, challenging. I then review narrative and program outcomes, and then, of course, the financial information and staff time and activity tracking that's submitted to verify services. Grant funds are paid retroactively, so once all report requirements are in and satisfied, and I can confirm that the financial information verifying services either meets or exceeds the disbursement amount, that's typically when the city releases checks. Although I will say I sent, because it's a little bit of a new process to have agencies report twice during the year as opposed to quarterly, I did release first quarter disbursements to help get programs up and running, but then really reviewed financial information and all of the verifying information with these initial reports that were submitted. The reports have been a bit challenging, and I wanted to talk about that. Agencies have experienced staff turnover, which there's a big learning curve for these reports for new staff coming in. As we are still working through some programmatic changes, that tends to impact the report submissions. I believe I spoke about this at the June meeting or July, but the city was still in negotiations around service agreements with 2 agencies, and so that leads to some backup. And some of the key takeaways to know from these reports is that agency staff are stressed. They are at capacity, and I think that this is still due to recovery from COVID. They're seeing participants with deeper, more complex needs, and it's really taking a toll. So I just wanted to, frame that. I'm sure we will hear more from the agency representatives who are here. It was also interesting to note that affordable housing and the lack of stable housing was the key challenge for every report submitted, every report. And now I'm going to kind of move on to what I thought you might need to know from each program that submitted a report. Connections, again, their youth program is working with a very high need, very challenged population. Youth who are homeless, who may be parenting, really do need longer, deeper services to reach self-sufficiency. Again, there has been staff turnover, and if you look at the report review, the operation performance report, you'll notice that under the client contact section and referrals, there is not information for connections. That is a challenge with the report. There are about 7 tabs in the report, and the program outcomes tab just wasn't completed, and I haven't had enough time to work with connections to capture that information. Family focus, I did mention that it took a bit of time for city staff and family focus staff to finalize their agreement, and that has to do with communicating not with the Evanston Center, but with Family Focus headquarters. And I will say, I don't know who else has found this, but no longer can I just pick up the phone and expect to reach someone. I do need to schedule meetings with people because of, well, for lots of reasons, and that does take on some time to getting answers or working through any issues.
The Housing Authority of Cook County, we are still, we did recently move into an agreement with that agency. I'm sure they will report, but those services are scheduled to start mid-September. Impact, staff has been in conversation with Impact, around time and activity tracking. The services that they could report and document don't fully match the complement of services that they offer. For example, when Impact staff work directly with participants, in a case management or counseling capacity, that is time that can be documented. But the time spent outreaching to Evanston residents or following up, I see some of our practitioners might be nodding. That's not necessarily documentable time. So we're working on time and activity tracking with Impact. Otherwise, Infant Welfare Society of Evanston, and Moran Center, there are nothing I really wanted to pull out or highlight for those agencies. I think I will pause there and leave it open for committee members to.
Can anyone tell me where the youth are being referred from, for the Connections Youth Program? Where are they coming from?
Where are the youth referrals coming from?
Yeah, is it HMIS, are they TAYU, direct service?
So that is a great question, and we do have Connections staff here. I do know that Connections is a member of the Alliance,
Right.
Which is our COC,
Mhm.
and all participants are entered into HMIS. I can also say that Connections works with YOU and other agencies that serve youth to
Right.
identify homeless youth. And I would love to invite Kelsey, up, or, yes, Connections staff. You want to come on up and introduce yourselves and sit in the hot seat?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kelsey Casperson. I'm the new Director of Government Relations for
Hi, everyone. Michael Mallory, Chief of Government and External Affairs, and only for the
For the turnover. For some of the turnover. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
I can ask it again.
Yeah.
Where are the youth, for your youth program, where are they being referred from? Are they walk-ins, direct service, or direct service from another agency, TAY, HMIS?
All of the above.
Okay.
Anecdotally, we've seen a large increase as direct walk-ins to our drop centers. We have 2 drop-in sites located in Evanston. Location, which is in the first, and one at our Hilders Place location. And seen a huge increase in 18-year-old population, actually, that are either grads, from the high school or of graduation. At the cusp of adult, which is really where we start. Some people, we serve people between the ages.
So these are like
But
unaccompanied youth? These are unaccompanied youth, just kind of coming in?
sometimes they've been thrown out of their house, sometimes they've just working on couches. We also have like young parents, maybe an of young parents that, going on really hard times and are under the age of 24, looking for a place. So that's kind of how people are connected to our site. We're also a part of, the collective here in Evanston, which is a collaboration of a number of members on that. And, we have interagency referrals on a multi-daily basis.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Would you say that it's growing? It's a growing number for the young adults that are being,
Yeah.
coming in, or? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And to Jessica's point,
around affordable housing. The biggest barrier that we have serving the growing number of young people is particularly around affordable housing for young people. There's a lot of stigma tied, to leasing a transitional unit in the community to a young person. Music a little bit louder, might not take their place. Those are life skills that we work with our participants around, tenancy skills is what we call them. But it's a huge hurdle for us. So yeah, the growing need is, we're addressing it the best that we can. But it's,
My next question is, or my question is, what is the length of time students, I apologize, young people are allowed to stay in either site?
So it varies on the program. We have a transitional housing program that's funded largely in part through the Department of Our House, which is a transitional act with 6 individual if you're going. That is up to 2 years. Depending on the individual's need, it might be 6 months, it might be the full 2 years. We then have participants that want to remain engaged in this and are tied into our youth designated aftercare program, where they're linked into throughout the city of Evanston or outside of Evanston. And aftercare doesn't have an end date, voucher-based program, and so that's ongoing, higher-level case management. So that could be place aged out of the program. Once they're 25, they could be connected to the adult program.
And for those that are just coming into your doors, how long does it take for them to get to transition?
So it varies. It's so dynamic. So we also have, I didn't mention, a number of emergency beds at Connections, which could be as short as an overnight stay for an emergent circumstance, or could be a couple of nights. And so an example of a story, I was talking to our director of all of the intricacies of our work, and she was talking about an example of a mom that came in who came from a domestic violence situation after having had a baby just a week before, and had 2 toddlers, and didn't have a place to stay, was living in her car for the last week, and they, like, all hands on deck, called around. They didn't have any capacity within the youth program, but we had an emergency shelter bed at our shelter site, the Margarita Inn. So she was able to stay at the Margarita Inn in an emergency shelter bed for 2 nights. Over the weekend, our case managers stayed on an hourly basis, is what I was told. And we're able to get her linked into a additional hotel space for a couple of months with some funding through the Department of Human Services. And then there was an opening on our housing component, and she was linked. So a couple hours is when she was linked into a safe and stable environment. But as far as that linkage to the actual housing component, it can vary. If we had all the beds in the world, we would take on. Sorry, that was very long-winded.
No, perfect. I don't mean to keep harping on, or picking on you for Connections, but I know that it's in the 5th Ward, and 5th Ward is my heart, so I have to ask these questions. So, I'd like you to walk us through, like, say I'm a teenager, I'm 19, I have nowhere to go, who knows my backstory, whatever, and I walk into Connections, what is the first step to me receiving help, other than signing in and waiting for a case manager? Do any case managers come with you today? Because they're the one that's doing the
Not today.
frontline work.
Not
Okay. All right, what is, because I don't want people to carry, because this is a high dollar amount, so I don't want people to think that this is all frills and flowers.
Yeah, no.
I've been through Margarita Inn, and it could be a lot of cleanup done in there, hopefully some of the money goes to that. And as far as the drop-in center, if anybody, at Hilda's place, has anybody gone to there?
Yeah.
We've all gone? No? Okay. I advise everybody to go and take a look at it. So I think there could be some more cleanup in there as well. So I'm interested to know what is my first recourse of action. I walk right into Connections, knowing the conditions.
Yeah, I would love to talk to that, and just could I talk to the conditions of
Sure.
this real quick?
Yeah.
We actually do have, allocated earmarks from some of our local representatives to do major rehab at both of those two sites
That's great.
in the next couple of years. We're fundraising for some additional private money, so anybody's welcome to join the campaign, but we are acutely aware of some of the capital. We have a grit at Connections that we're gonna do as much as we can, and we can do that, in a safe and effective way. So appreciate you naming that, because we're aware as well, and do have some money in the pipeline to be
Good.
able to address those needs. And safe and essential in the service we provide.
Absolutely.
But to your actual question, so when somebody comes in, let's just say for conversation, would be connected in with anyone on site to provide an initial intake, and then immediately, connected to our coordinated entry, who actually does the intake into, Jessica was talking about, HMIS and into the coordinated entry system. In order to be eligible for our services, that's a requirement no matter what.
Okay,
across
so
the
you
board.
immediately enter them into the HMIS. So is that before the ROI or after the ROI, the release of information?
It would be right before, I
Okay.
think.
Well, no, part of enrolling into HMS, they
Okay, so someone's there too, because I'm sure 18, 19 never even heard of, an ROI. Maybe they have, but I find it hard to believe. And it has some different levels there of, reporting, like, if you wanna report everything about me, check this box. If a little bit about me, check that box. I'm just kind of dumbing it down.
The release itself will have boxes of what they feel comfortable sharing or not sharing.
Absolutely.
So such as substance use, mental health, or HIV diagnosis.
Right, so I guess my question is, once, I don't know, I guess my question is, like, once they check those boxes and somebody's there to explain that part, I'm sure. The
Yep.
case manager
The
can
exam
explain
has
it.
to explain
So what if they don't want to be entered in, HMIS? So you just, put like a blanket name in there and
So we will.
just the
there'll be a
vitals
locked-
and leave it alone, or?
There'll be a locked profile if they refuse to,
I'm sorry.
consent to share information. We will have to complete a locked profile, which means that no one else can access the file.
Yeah, I'm familiar with HMIS. I know you can lock it even if it's DV or whatever the case, DCFS, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I guess my concern is that it's such a high dollar, I wanna make sure that the teenagers, or babies are getting their, the full workup when they're walking in there, especially, not just because it's the Fifth Ward or wherever, but I'm thinking just because that need is high. Like, that's a high need, and it's a high dollar need on top of it. I know it costs a lot of money just to case manage one, from the beginning to the end of their stay. I'll call it stay there. So which one would you recommend first? Would you recommend just going to Hilda's place first, or would you recommend another space, like Margarita Inn?
I would recommend Dewey as the preferred drop-in site, first,
Where?
which
In
is.
Dewey?
Yeah,
No,
it's
where is it
between
in the
Station-
building? Not for housing, for shelter in place, like for
So that
where are
would
they
be
going?
our house. Margarita Inn is in a drop-in,
Thank you, okay.
and so we do, I don't know if we still have the room
Yeah.
allotted for you, but we can place them there, but drop-in service is only at the Dewey location. emergent need for immediate positioning to emergency, either our house or at Memorial Day.
So at the Dewey stop, where are they? Like, 'cause when you go in there, I don't see any areas for driving.
Our house isn't part of the Dewey location, it is actually a, what is it, a free flat?
Yeah, it's a three-flat residential
On
home.
Jackson, that one?
Wesley. I'm
Wesley,
not gonna
yeah.
disclose the address,
White
but,
House. No, I know,
yeah, you might know where
Okay.
it is. Yeah,
Thank you,
we'd
Ken.
love to welcome, I mean, everyone and all from the committee to come out and do a site tour.
Our house is lovely, actually. I like it in there.
Yeah, I
It's
agree,
really nice.
we just
Should
opened,
hear the garden.
yeah, a new garden, which is awesome. But really, if anyone on the committee would like to come out and see the spaces, I just think, I'm sure, full context to how this is,
Yeah,
so just let us,
yeah.
cards, I guess.
I actually like the setup in there. If you guys ever wanna, I agree, stop in there. I like the
Cool.
setup. I don't know what you call that particular person, but I'm gonna call it case manager.
Yeah.
That is the person that's there all day. That's a hard job, you know, with the young teenagers and language and whatever. I don't understand half the things that they're saying. But yeah, my experience in there, I really think that is a very difficult job, and the person that was there when I went did an excellent job of relating to each one of the teenagers that was there.
Mhm.
So I think it was pretty awesome. So I just didn't know, like, drop-in wise, where they go, like, for the day, or, because I know a lot of times you want them out in the street trying to enroll in school, try to look for a job, or whatever it might be. So I wasn't sure for those who aren't doing that, where they're at during the day in -10 weather.
Yeah, it's not funny, but when I started at Connections earlier this year, there was talk about, some of these allocated dollars for the renovation of the site, and how there is a determined need. We don't have that right now at Connections,
Okay.
and so it's not formally written into any plans anywhere, but it's certainly something that's out.
Thank you, that's my question.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, where are we? Where am I going? If I'm 19, where am I standing? What am I doing at noon?
Yeah, I mean,
You know.
they're welcome into our regular drop-in spaces, it's
Yeah.
open to the public, but as far as the
So that's in the works, is what you're saying,
essentially,
potentially.
not formally.
Thank you,
Yep,
I appreciate it.
thank you for the question.
Yeah, I did have kind of a somewhat out-the-box conversation, or question. I'm curious where something like Job Corps comes into play for young people in 2023. I have no idea about Job Corps. I feel like I've maybe met some people at some point that were in the program or had family in the program, so I know nothing about it, and maybe it's not a realistic option for young people in 2023. Maybe it never was. I have no clue about it. But the concept seems like an interesting one, especially for, I mean, just a quick Google of it, the first thing it says is the largest free residential education and job training program for young adults. And so that sounds really good. Now whether or not they have the capacity to take on, is that something that comes up at all in your work, whether it's Job Corps or anything else that might be?
So in terms of the way that we approach care is through the social development, and employment is one of those key. Case managers do work to link them to employment, or even help them with resume building. That's a part of their.
The Job Corps specifically, any contact with them at all, any success stories at all?
I wish I could answer that definitively, I don't know off the top of
Okay.
my head.
No worries, just a question.
But I will absolutely ask and follow up, because that sounds.
Only because it's hard to get, adults, you know,
Yeah.
with income housing right now in Evanston.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it gets even harder for young people. Need something else that, like, is a mechanism to do that and something that does it well. And
Yeah.
Job Corps strikes me as, at least the model strikes me as something that may do it well. Hopefully there's similar programs out there. I'll follow up with you about that. That's all I had, Jill, thank you.
Yeah, that's good, because if a person or representative could actually come to them, and like kind of talk about it. That has nothing to do with your program, not saying your program is any better, or, that's
Yeah.
not it, but this is another tie-in to something else, because they pay you to be there, the little stipend, and then afterwards they guarantee you a job and housing, too. So that's pretty good. Even like, not to push military on anybody, well, obviously I'm wearing it.
I was
I
like,
just
my
realized
first-
that. I
military
just
was my
realized
first thought, and I
that.
was like, nah, that
Well,
ain't really
I
a
just
thing.
realized
Talking
that.
about nemesis.
Okay,
Job
so-
Corps is like.
Okay, let's, not to push the military, but, even, I know they're right there at the Evanston Plaza, they could actually come talk to them as an option too. You know, just as another avenue for success, actually. Yeah, they get paid very well as, you know, on top of everything else, so that could be another option too. Obviously, getting in there is more strict, but, there's nothing wrong with having a representative from either of the military branches come over and at least talk to them about getting in there, which will in turn look good statistically and success story, all of that good stuff for you guys, for your program.
For information, you were always looking for new partners.
As you know, on the adult end, we do have representatives. I don't know that about our youth program. Have to find,
Yeah,
so thank you.
it's right here in Evanston, so it
Yeah.
can be easy. I mean, Evanston has so much. It can be easily utilized to have them literally go 2 minutes driving there. And sometimes they might even perk up, seeing they come in their uniform and whatever, and if they're interested in what they have to say. So, a lot of them have similar stories as them, you know, and your clients could be looking at themselves in the representatives that come in and speak to them. So the Job Corps, like, Council Member, Burns said, I'm sorry, that sounded really bad. I know, Bobby, that Bobby had mentioned,
Call me
and,
whatever you.
yeah, and then that little branch, that could be, some things you guys can put on your agenda for the future. That would be great success stories.
Any other questions?
It had to be done.
Jessica, I just want to ask one technical question. Projected versus total, the projected when they filed their proposal, what they thought they would serve, and so for Connections, for example, they thought they would serve 16, they actually served 37? Am I understanding that correctly?
That is correct. And the projected number, I did pull that from their application.
Perfect.
So in the application.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. The total is the number currently in services.
Perfect.
The projected is for half a year. But the total is how many they
Currently
have
in
in
service,
service.
so in theory, we don't have it for Connections, but like, for example, the exit since would be in addition to this current like, so let's go to Impact. Impact is 18, but 6 have exited services since the beginning of the year.
Yes.
So I would be adding 18 and 6.
So I think,
No.
I think it's saying
The,
18 is,
January to June is their,
so that is, okay, sorry, you said
January to June.
January through June.
And also in that time period, 6 exited.
Got it, perfect, thank you. I just want to make sure that I,
Jessica, one other question, just on top of the statistics here. So total served, so I'm on Connections for the Homeless, 37, is that the Evanston population served, or is that total in their entire?
total, and then
And
they are
then the population
75%.
75%, okay. So 75% of that number is what Evanston is, okay.
No, I'm sorry.
No.
The total served, or total Evanston residents served. It does not include
You
the
know, outside
total
of the areas.
population served.
Oh, okay,
Right,
okay.
right.
Okay.
So that's 70, okay, so then they're,
What page are you looking at?
just,
First page.
first page,
Just
Councilmember,
Oh, 30, so I see it now.
first
Okay.
example,
So
yeah.
could you say that one more time? I just wanna make sure I'm clear. So I see
It's,
total 37.
Yeah, and then 75% of all of the clients in that category were Evanston residents.
Of the 37, you said?
No,
37
37
equals
is-
75%.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah, so more were
Oh, I see,
served.
residents are, yeah, okay, okay.
And you know what, I appreciate this nuts and bolts conversation, because this is the first time we're using our operations performance
Mhm.
review. So this is a chance for me to take notes and get stronger and provide information
good.
in a clearer
It's
way.
very, very helpful. I just want to make sure
Very
that
helpful,
it's
yeah.
very helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I will.
All right. so then we sort of started talking about family focus. Do you have any, come on up, guys.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Vanessa Allen, the Director of Family Focus.
Do you have any specific, do you have any specific questions for family focus?
I actually, was looking at this when Jessica sent it, I actually think what you're asking for is a little low. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
I'm curious as to why you asked for just 125.
I did not initially create it, but, so I don't know.
Bobby, do you have any thoughts on that? 'Cause Family Focus is like the staple of the Fifth Ward, like,
I think this is the highest they've ever gotten, or they've gotten higher, a little higher than this,
Last year.
or it's the same amount, yeah.
125 was an increase, and the reason for that increase, originally, city funds were provided primarily for the youth and the grandparents raising grandchildren program. Initially, in 2021, Family Focus applied, to hire a new case manager for their program, and because of COVID and the lack of, or the challenge finding social work staff and case managers and direct line staff, Family Focus was not able to hire a new person under that grant. So in 2023, their award, was more in line with what they had been receiving their programs.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is typically funds that the city tries to spread around. 125 might be the largest contribution of any recipient. Of course, if we could do more, absolutely, I advocated and successfully advocated for, like, folks, was it $3 million? It's been a while now, of ARPA money to rehab the facility. I know they're working on that, so, of course, if we could do more than 125, it'd be great, but it is the largest, I think, contribution that we provide for social services.
thank you, that was I should have asked it that way, I guess.
And
That the
rightfully so, in my opinion, so.
Yeah, 'cause it's low for Family Focus, so I know what they do.
Yeah, they do a lot of good work, absolutely. And it shows just in the data, you know, how many people that they're receiving.
Yeah, I don't even need to look.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And
Okay.
Family Focus, are they the organization in both case management and safety net? Is that, did we get that,
Infant Welfare Society
Welfare Society.
and Moran Center.
Mhm.
So, this is talking about, I guess, the youth again. Can you walk us through a typical day?
I'm sorry?
Can you walk us through a typical day at Family Focus if I needed some help?
Okay,
I'm
well,
19 with a baby.
as it pertains to the case
Mm-hmm.
manager, I know the case manager, she's actually, she schedule and tries to make sure that she has a schedule of seeing people, our drop-in center, Family Focus in general. When people come in and, we try to, make sure that, and I think that for our case management program, I'd like to say is we use a methodology of like, case management as well as some intensive, sitting down with the families, doing a needs assessment as part of the intake, and developing a plan of, not only whatever they presented, looking for help is addressed, but anything else that maybe they didn't think that we could be able to help them with, we'll walk them through that based on the needs assessment and create a service plan for them. Yeah, so it could be a person who initially came to us because they needed some food or, after school care or something, and find out that they need more than that, and that's what we're there for. It's kind of hard to just say a typical day, because I don't think there's a such
There
thing
isn't
as
one,
typical day.
in social services, but accomplish
Because you could come in for one thing and then you pull out other services
all
from
the
the one
time.
person. So that's further to my point of that's very low, you know, I think.
It's
But-
very tailored to the
Mhm.
needs of individuals and families that we serve. And I like to think that what we're doing now with the case management grant has just really, formalized something that's been going on in family focus
For years.
So, so yeah, it just, in the community now, they know that it's not just something that can be done, it's what we do.
Right.
So, yeah.
Is there any person, I'm sorry,
No, if I
is,
could,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, if I could just jump in and say, the conversations that the city was having with Family Focus about, the original, the 2021 and 2022 award amounts, those conversations were with Family Focus headquarters, and there was, I think, a little bit of a miscommunication with the headquarters. It is in no way a reflection on the Evanston Center itself and the work that they do. I just wanted to be very clear.
I am curious, in your original application, you would be able to serve 142 Evanston residents, from January to June, but the total, ended up being 100. So can you speak a little bit more to that and what occurred there that caused the fall short of the projection? Were people turned away? Were you turned away or anything like that?
No, I honestly, that was a mistake. Going back and forth between finance and what we were. That still needs some.
If I could also add, it wasn't a mistake on the center's end. Family Focus headquarters in Chicago has a grant writer who completed the application. And then it was up to Vanessa and her team to, have results. And there was, Family Focus has 4 major case management programs as outlined in their proposal. I did not realize at the time, or we only worked through with the Family Focus headquarters, that 2 of their programs, because they didn't take any city funds and they were primarily DCFS and state funded, that in those programs were, not going to be counted in the case management reports to the city going forward, which is not to say that the center isn't doing the work, it's just to say that city staff and headquarters were working out. And this sort of goes to, what I mentioned at the beginning about, you know, new programs and new ways of looking at reporting. And we're still, I'd like to think that we're still in those conversations with Family Focus headquarters. They are doing it, you know.
That particular incident, we were asked from the center level where we were as of that date, not the.
And so is the total, is that more in line with what you would expect, and the projected's like a little higher, or maybe includes those non-city funded lines, and so the 100 or so, that's what we should anticipate for the second half of the year? Just wanna make sure I get which one we should be. Perfect, thank you.
Also, just quickly wanted to say, I think one of the real strengths also of Family Focus is that the building acts as a social service hub and houses other tenants, one of which we'll, you know, talk to today. So when you add the 125 plus the 75, you know, that'll likely go to Infant Welfare Society, plus I don't know if there are any other, agencies that, I know there's some that we may have funded in the past, but I just wanted to add that there are other tenants in the building that receive city funds, and I think that goes a long way of making the facility, a really robust social service hub for.
Yeah, because they
for
can
also
just go
community.
to the next door.
Exactly.
Right, get the way to get to it, but yeah, absolutely, I agree with that.
Can I just call out one thing as a clarifying point? So I think everybody has this in their format for this template. The award itself is the top item, right? The 23 award, in this case for Family Focus would be the 83,000, which is what was decided earlier on. The second line was the 125 that they requested earlier on in the year, so I just want to make sure we're aligned on what we're approving or assessing them based on, the performance and what they're asking for, so.
Yeah, the 2023 request is 125.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the award itself that we granted in January was 83.
Was 83, yeah.
And that's because of that case manager that they couldn't bring on, right?
Yep, so in reviewing the budget, the city wanted to make sure that the award, the 125 was going to increase capacity to serve, and wasn't seen as an opportunity for the headquarters to kind of pull back.
Any other,
That's a good word. Yeah, please
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
thank
Appreciate you.
All right, the housing authority.
Hey, how are you all doing today?
Good.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good.
Right, so my understanding is, and actually, Jessica, you had said we had released the first quarter of funding. Did we, we didn't have an agreement with the housing authority. Have we released anything in 23? Services are set to begin next month, October?
No, the 18th this month.
Oh, the
Okay, Monday.
18th.
Okay,
Monday.
yeah.
Yes,
It's been a week later, we would've gotten a,
we had a huge stack we had to get through. Perfect, put together.
so, work begins on Monday.
Yes.
With Impact Behavioral Health Partners.
Yes.
Any questions? And so at that point, from a technical standpoint, Jessica, would we be releasing, I mean, we're at essentially a quarter of the year, a quarter and 15-ish days. Would we be releasing the full annual award, or, okay?
No, we're releasing what we worked out with the HAC so far, is looking at their program, breaking down services sort of on a monthly basis. And so, once we receive its first report, then we can analyze financial documents and the outcomes, and then determine what portion.
When you go for allocation, and if you decide to renew funding, we'll suggest to have that on the basis of first reporting being.
We're expecting that report to be in
October 16th is the due date for the first report, and then the HAC will also report in November on October's outcomes and December. So I will keep the committee.
And I thought we funded the HAC in 22. And I know I know there was some delay. It was like a partial year in 22. There was a new contract, I believe. Did we get results for that for 22?
The HAC was originally awarded in 21.
Oh, in 21, that's right.
Late release of funds, because it was a really protracted, it was a long, allocation cycle, or a late allocation cycle. The HAC originally received funds to hire a case manager to provide case management services for the senior buildings. Unfortunately, again, due to the hiring challenges for any direct staff, the HAC was not able to hire, a person, but moved into a partnership with another organization, not Impact, a separate organization. That organization had trouble complying with reporting requirements and submitting information. I'm looking to Marcus, we can agree on that. So that partnership dissolved in May of 2023. HAC moved into an agreement with Impact to provide case management services for the two Evanston buildings. They had an existing agreement with Impact to provide case management for
Our northern parts of, Cook County.
Yep.
Initiative, like,
Okay.
So they tacked Evanston buildings on, with the guarantee, with the promise of Evanston funding, but we're waiting for those services.
I'm about like the clients who need your services. So was it that they weren't able to get case management help? Or was the issue that the case managers, as listed here, were not able to give us, or you even, kind of data and information needed to read?
So, great question. I don't recall any complaints regarding the services. The really big issue was, reporting. When I came on board, when the grant was turned over to me, I'm not sure what the disconnect was, but Jessica, I was like, they were basically like, hey, we have the CDBG. We need to keep this, it's important for the residents. So I was able to get Jessica's information and found out everything happened, and the reporting was just really, really behind. So we had a lot to get the reporting up. So it wasn't a service issue, it was a reporting issue that we corrected and we worked with.
But the reporting was down to the number, members served, I mean, it was hard to quantify that
No,
service.
it was adding it in. I think the numbers were, actually accurate, the people served, but they complied, but it was just actually the reporting. It was always a problem with it on time, was what, having the financials, so we track down the funding to get you to.
There were discrepancies between the invoice amounts requested from the partner and the financial backup showing services.
So that stopped your flow, that stopped the flow of money.
Absolutely. It was so important we put a plan in place.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
understand.
Okay. Excited for Monday. So we're excited for Monday then.
The plan is in place, right?
Yeah, we are like beyond excited, though. Our executive director, we have a new ED now, so he's really big on social services. Commission kept reminding me all day. So,
You mentioned a new ED, so there's been a little bit of staff turnover.
a little bit.
I didn't mean to call you that.
I'm here.
Universal problem.
Yeah.
Everywhere, I mean, everywhere.
And it impacts services. It's really bad.
But, you know, we have a responsibility of public services, even if people, somebody just has to pick it up, you know. Try to do, just push forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Have a
For
great
your work.
Impact is next.
Can I ask a general question about, you noted that there's a number of these, you know, we don't have the data, we don't have the links filled in. Is the reporting requested here similar to what, you want to ask here, to what you have to do for any other funder? Or is this unique? Is this something that takes extra time or extra?
We need to speak up, everybody, they may not have heard the
Okay, so my question is the kind of reporting information that's requested from from the city, is it the same kind of reporting you have to do to many other funders or other funders? So it's not a matter of like crunching different numbers or different data in order to fulfill our request. That's my question.
You had shaking yes. Yeah.
The private funders, so, you know, demographic data, types of contacts, those are the types of for us, we're doing this for other funders as well. Similar requests.
It's always a little different in the format or the timing or something, so it is always a challenge there, but not out of line in terms of the topics requested. The state's fiscal year is different than ours, and, you know. Helpful, great question, Ken. Great. Hi. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. My name's Lauren Warsaw. I'm the Division Director of Clinical at Impact.
I already sort of got a introduction to the work that you guys do and the growing work that you'll be doing starting Monday. We're very excited. Questions for Impact? You call out transportation, and others not necessarily call out transportation, though I've heard from others outside of this space of transportation challenges. Can you sort of more?
So I think like one of the things our case managers run into is we're serving adults like 18 and over, right? And often in between not qualify for RTA, right? And you, there's not a lot of places where you can just get free venture cards, right? So there's not like possible money to draw from for that. I think that's part of there, and things like cabs or Ubers, emergency funds for that, but not enough to cover what.
The majority of your members Medicaid enrolled?
Yes.
Medical is covered. We are extending at the state list coverage. That might be, for medical,
Yeah.
right now, might be something.
So, but then, I don't know when.
So you, what she said is Medicaid covers the transportation?
I'm
You'll
not
be able to
hearing,
speak up a
what's
little
the
bit.
discussion here?
Yeah, I couldn't hear,
Yeah.
I couldn't hear what she said.
Sorry, so Medicaid coverage for Medicaid eligible only,
Right.
for medical transportation only, like doctor's appointments, flu shot, larger services, but that's, you know, typically probably not over. Behavioral health services though, Medicaid covers transportation, and under the public health emergency, we authorize Lyft coverage because we had a lot of Medicare and other providers sort of pull out of the system due to
Right.
COVID and everything else. So we temporarily authorized Lyft, medical Lyft, not like, which is a little different.
Yeah.
But we are extending that last November, which is exciting. I mean, a potential resource.
I know this isn't part of the discussion here, but you brought up the point, so how does a resident claim that, benefit?
So they can call, there's a transportation phone number, if they're enrolled, and, request it. For any medical, which doesn't solve everything. It doesn't solve jobs, it doesn't solve, you gotta go to the grocery store, you've gotta go to, you know what, I mean, it solves just a piece.
How might someone find that number? Do you know, like, if I were Googling that?
I could get you.
You can get me
I
that
could
number,
get you
all right.
those.
Appreciate it.
It's depending on where they're enrolled,
Yeah.
because like if they're, but I can get you perhaps there's a whole toolkit.
All right, thank you.
But I will get it to you.
Medicaid enrolled. is that what-
Medicaid enrolled, not Medicare. Medicare does not cover non-emergency transportation, but Medicaid in Illinois does.
Right, so you're saying you're extending the transportation service to November?
Past November.
Past November, but they can get the transportation services because they're enrolled in Medicaid.
Mhm.
I mean, we've all seen the lovely, wonderful elderly get on and off those transportation, to doctors and from doctors, we've all seen it. But I guess I'm confused with why are you asking for, I'm confused.
No, there was just a question, there were just like general challenges that our case
Thank you,
managers-
okay, all right,
Yeah,
that's, I got
that's-
confused whether that was included in your ask.
No,
Okay, okay.
I'm sorry, can I, one of the reasons that our report asks for the biggest challenges to connect participants to is because we do have a pool of support services funds that are currently being used to provide counseling services,
Mhm.
but we want to constantly ask our agencies to let us know the challenges so that we can stay aware of community need.
Right. And she's absolutely right, you can request that. There's actually a specific person that goes around to the agencies talking about how to get the different levels of those transportation, little car, like a badge, if you completely need to and from, and you wait, and then there's another level with just to, then call when I'm done and come back and pick up, like, there's so many different levels to the transportation. There's an actual person that can actually come talk to you about it. I wish I knew this, I wish I had the information at hand with me or remember how that works, but yeah, you can always call them and ask that person to come talk to you about
We
it.
can definitely.
To make it easier for you,
Yeah.
then you could just deal with that person,
Right.
to get those, badges or whatever it is that they have to have after. Yeah. But I highly doubt they're gonna recommend them, get on an L, or that, you know what I'm saying, like,
Right.
that's
I mean,
too much,
and the timing often and the, like, it's more complex.
Yeah, 'cause you're right, it's really slow, the process of that, it's very slow turnaround.
Can you speak a little bit about any staffing challenges you've had this year, if any at all?
Yeah, we did have, so our first case manager that started last recently, so we had that one person, but other than that, our case managers in this program have been here.
Said something about RTA, I think, earlier, and, what is this?
Regional. It would be someone else wants to.
They're the ones that do the badge and,
Mm-hmm.
And so you're saying they don't, many of them don't qualify to receive?
Some do, some don't, yeah, so sometimes if you get Social Security, if you're older, I don't remember all of the, I've been out of the case management role for a little bit, so I don't remember all the details, but there's people that are kind of in between.
and some of it's income-based too.
Right.
So if
Mhm.
I make nothing, my RTA might be, my badge might be $1 or something like that, something super small. So she's right, there's different ways to, it's not like you're not gonna get something, you're gonna get whatever your income eligible for, and medically as well, medical necessities as well.
I mean, I guess with that in mind, if it's sliding scale, in some cases, it's not enough for it.
Yeah, I wish I had more detail on this, like, I think this is just one
But
of the
it's harder
things
when
that- yeah.
it's just a cliff, like, if you don't make this income, you don't qualify, but when it's sliding, there's a little bit more support there, so I'm curious about that, if I can look at it.
And it's a state decision, right? Like a state policy, or RTA.
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, great, all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Infant Welfare Society?
Hi, my name's Diana Newton, I'm the Director of Development and Communications, coming up on a year.
I'm Stephen Dick, I'm the Executive Director of the welfare, I've been there almost 10 years.
Welcome. Question?
I was coming staffed up this time, I hope it's not anything that we did in the previous rounds.
I know. Communications and specialists.
No, I'm just joking, good to see you, though.
The challenges that you guys saw was housing, the biggest one was housing,
Yeah, that's one of
affordable
the,
housing.
spots, like you mentioned, with other, social service agencies and talking to Family Advocate today, that is baby, toddler, and our team.
I know Connections obviously is a resource is there anybody else, another go-to resource that
I mean, there's a
helps
few,
with housing?
yeah, I mean, certainly Connections is one, Moran Center is one, IJC. There's a lot. And it's, the interesting thing about our program is, that's for our early childhood center, we work. So we can have adults, that could, grandma taking care of. That requires a lot of different referrals. Some services,
Right.
those partners.
A lot of on-site services as well, which is really nice. So if a family has their children or child at the center, within 45 days, and there is an issue, hearing or, or if you're not regulated, have, family advocate refer, which is really nice. Places, the family advocate that she's talking to parents every drop off and pick up, which is
Our family advocate, Natasha, starts her day at the front, and ends her day. Also covering for having that daily contact. Walk in. So when people are dropping off their kids, they're busy, they're running, they're trying to get to work. Sometimes it's kind of corralling the parents too. Because they're jobs, they're.
Remind me what the program is, it's been a while. So this is a free service, early childhood programming for, can you just give me the
Yeah,
the
certainly.
basics again?
So our organization is about 85% subsidized. We do have full fee enrolled parents in the toddler nursery. That's, but we're an early Head Start site, with 55 early Head Start slots. It's in
Real
partnership.
quick before you go to 50, so the 70, you said, so some households pay the full amount? You
Mhm.
said the whole, not the whole 70, but a portion?
So we have 39 early Head Start slots at baby toddler, 16 slots at teen baby, which is everyone there. That's 55 slots. In our classroom-based programs, we have a total of 86 children when we're fully enrolled. 55 of that 86 is early Head Start. Those are our most at-risk, most needy, lowest income level. We have what we call CCAP only, child care assistance, so we have to blend all our funding together. Early Head Start, CCAP, child care assistance. And so we do have some CCAP only families that don't qualify for early Head Start. So if you're not at, let's just say 185% FPL, you're not gonna qualify for early Head Start. We can take a few percentages early Head Start that aren't under that. But if you're just over that marker, you're not gonna qualify for early Head Start, but you can still get.
New AMI,
Federal poverty level.
area median income, now we got FPL.
Federal poverty level, okay? So we have some families that are covered in our program by Head Start, early Head Start, child care assistance, and the funds that we raise, we have to raise $700,000. Development director every year to meet the gap of all these dollars we're trying to meet.
Wow, yeah.
As well. So, anyway, 86 total children in our classroom-based programs, 55 Head Start slots, about 15 are CCAP only, and then we have about 15 or 10 that are private pay. They're full tuition, like $1,300, $1,400 a month.
Subsidized, they don't pay anything at all, or some of them pay Depending on the
income.
funding.
So early Head Start is totally free. So
Okay.
55 spots are completely free, there's no fee whatsoever. And that's the focus of our case management, is the early Head Start. Our case manager does work with everybody, but that's really the focus. CCAP will have a fee based on income. So you can get a copay, right? Like, it's kind of like a sliding scale where based on your income, go through Action for Children, and then you get a rate that you have to. That could be, so for example, we could have at Teen Baby Nursery, which is fully early Head Start, they're covered completely. Whereas some families at baby toddler may have to pay $20 a month, $100 a month, $50 a month, based on their income. But you also have to qualify for CCAP. You have to be working, you have to be in school, there's a lot of very complicated.
There's an income eligibility.
Mm-hmm. We have outside of that, which is related to the home.
What age groups do, age groups?
So our organization is predominantly 0 to 3 or prenatal to 3. We have one pre-K classroom at baby toddler nursery, which is 3 hours. So 95% of our children are infant toddler.
You know what the Panda program is at District 65? I think they still call it Panda, but at,
Doorway to Learn.
at JEH.
The what program?
Panda.
Panda.
If they called it Panda back then, it might be another
Only programs I'm
another
aware of.
mascot name now, but basically the District 65 early childhood program.
You talking about in the JH building?
So
The
JH has Doorway to Learning, which is the 0 to 3.
That's 0 to 3, okay.
Yeah, and then they have the other JH program is more of a Head Start after school. So we are a sub-recipient of federal Head Start funds through District 65.
Perfect, that's what I was trying.
We have 35 slots at Doorway to Learning 0 to 3, we have 55 slots. in the Head Start program.
So the city is engaging in, I think you all are going to be involved on creating a task force to, look into baby bonds and expanding childcare options. I'm just curious, as well as check cashing at the clerk's office. I'm curious, you know, I'm sorry, you said how many slots do you have? 70, over 70?
So the total slots in our classroom-based program is 86.
86 slots. What do you think the need is? If you were serving everyone who needed it, how many slots do you think you would have? How many folks are you turning away on an annual basis?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we did some research, pre-pandemic, so like in of Cradle to Career, because we were thinking about what is the need, like, for example, in Fifth Ward, where we see some of the greatest.
And I want to note that the Eighth Ward has, the highest rates of childhood poverty in the city. And I think sometimes the Eighth Ward gets overlooked.
Yeah.
We have now the largest black population. I think sometimes we're not paid attention to with the need that exists there. But sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Thanks for correcting me. So I think what I see as the greatest need is not the 3 and 4 Head Start pre-K. We have a lot of programs. What we don't have, and we're very unique in that, is the 0 prenatal. The research that we did, and we did focus on the Fifth Ward, we could get into the 8th and 9th. But I think the research did show that there was about 120 families that had 2 or 3 children that could potentially get involved in early Head Start. That doesn't mean they all want to, or they all are going to. So there are more children that need early Head Start services than slots that we have in. I would probably say, and I think it's many slots for the 3s and 4s and the pre-K, it's the 0 to 3 that we have.
That's what I was getting at with JEH, because I think it's the same there. Because I remember distinctly hearing at one point that there were some slots that needed to be filled in that 3 to 4, or 3 to 3 and up, 4 and up, whatever it is. So I was trying to see like where is the highest demand, and it seems
They
like
have many
0 to
more
3.
slots for Head Start at
Yeah.
JEH, and they're not.
Yeah.
But I will also tell you, and it's another topic altogether, but we have a classroom closed right now. So the challenge right now is also finding and hiring enough people to meet the need to open the classroom. So we have a waiting list. Not that the need isn't there, it's that we don't have all the. That's a whole nother.
That's relevant to our reporting too.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you see that, like, why did we say we would project 7 and we only, you know, half that, it's because of so the load, like you said earlier, Head Start is pretty stringent. How many kids can be in there and
What are some of your innovative ideas of recruiting or mentoring new teachers into?
oh, no, now
So,
you.
so we have been working with our partners very diligently on that. We've been working with Bolton College, Evanston Latinos, City of Evanston, and, Evanston Community Foundation. We have developed, I really think it would be a model of a pipeline of new teachers. So we started with the Spanish-speaking population, felt that there may be many people in Evanston that are interested in started a program with Oakton. They've gone through ESL courses all summer. We have 17 people in this cohort. They're starting what is called Gateways, which is the initial credentialing to become an early childhood teacher. They all have high school diplomas, so they are equivalent, so they can become teacher assistants. So we have stipends that are coming, some money from the City of Evanston, some money from UCF, some money from, anyway, there's about $15,000 for stipends to incentivize them, and we have the hiring fair on the 5th of October, where these 17 people are coming to hopefully get hired by the Evanston Early Childhood Council. So IWSE is, I'm currently the chair of the Evanston Early Childhood Council. Michigan, not from either, part of the Early Childhood Council. I'm just coming to that hiring fair as well. Yeah. So, we're hoping to hire all 17 of these previously monolingual people that are interested. And the thing that's fascinating to me, if it works and we hire them all and it's successful, we track it, we can do this with other languages as well. So Oakton is working with them in their home language, right? They're going through the Gateways trainings. And ESL class is obviously focused on early childhood in Spanish. No reason why we couldn't do this in French or in Arabic and other languages. We're kind of creating our own pipeline. Because there is no pipeline.
Right.
People can go to Target and make $20, I can make $16. It's really difficult to find.
Problem, but that's a whole nother.
It's a national problem.
Yeah.
All of wax, I know.
$16 for that work, wow.
Gotcha. Great, thank you.
Thank you, but that's amazing work.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Excellent.
My next-
We
I
expand
have a
those
question.
languages.
Excuse me, first, I appreciate you coming with the knowledge that you just came in with. I feel like I could probably ask you anything and you have an answer. How long is your waiting list? Because you had mentioned waiting list, which was my question. How long?
Yeah, so at baby toddler, currently, I'd have to ask my director, Pam, but I think we have between 8 and 12 children on the wait list, and a lot of that is shifting from our, you know, because we have a classroom down and we have certain ratios to meet. We only have so many infants or so many toddlers, and people are constantly matriculating and graduating. There's a lot of complex movement. Teen baby is full right now. I think we're at 15 or 16. Baby toddlers at about 75% capacity. Some of that's because of the classroom. Teen baby, I think, has 1 or 2 infants on the waiting list. And we always hold slots for District 202 with some funding because we serve high school students. We always try to hold slots. Tiffany Culpepper, our director, has her ear to the, connections at EHS and knows there may be a coming, so we got it.
How long?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't
That's
know.
how out of the program as well.
Most of our children stay in our program for the full 3 years. We have a very long waiting list to get into our 1 pre-K classroom. We only have 14 slots. children that may be interested in there, so we have to refer out to partners as they do that transition. Start at 2.5 years, and the transition to leading our program at 3 years.
Have you guys thought about any mixed age grouping to help out with that lack of the one class being closed?
Mixed age grouping?
Yeah.
So right now.
As best you can.
Yeah, it's a little complex, but there's also developmental concerns
Right.
about grouping different age kids together. So right now, we're 6 weeks to 18 months is the infant classroom. And then based on their age, their developmental challenges, or where they are they ready to move into a toddler room? What are the challenges of moving to that toddler room? Toddler room is 18 months to 2 years. We kind of have to look at all of the developmental needs and where individuals are, and that's why we have, these multidisciplinary teams that help us with that.
To your, response to Councilman Reed on subtle needs, you referenced, research that you did in the Fifth Ward, I think. You said 129 is the number I remember. Were you saying households, children? I missed the.
Children, 0 to 3.
Okay.
that are in that economic category.
Okay.
And we use like census tracts, we use ICAMS data to kind of try to isolate it. There's approximately 120 children, this was in 20.
Yeah.
That could qualify for early Head Start slots, but we didn't have the slots for them.
Well, I think we're probably gonna see that getting worse. I just shared with Steve and the leadership team that New York Times said the number of children living in poverty is double. I mean, double. That's astounding to me. Compared to earlier gains in reducing that, and that was because of the aid to families. Their income, well, that didn't get continued, so it dropped.
Well, I think to put some context, we pulled half of children out of poverty through those COVID aid, and somehow we let that lapse and let half of Americans.
I was talking about the federal level.
Yeah, I know.
By we mean the federal, yeah.
Right, I mean, we as a country, America.
Sorry, we didn't.
Yeah, not the city of Evanston, not me.
There is no way, the best.
Which all of us are.
You guys do great work over
Yeah.
years and years and years and years, before you came in Durham, I'm thinking. I've always been a fan of it.
Come visit us too, it's fun.
I've been in and out of there. I have nieces and nephews who've gone through, I'm sure everybody has somebody who's gone through, baby toddler at some point, or even the teen baby nursery, but it's great work in there.
Some of our teachers stay a long time. 8 years.
Oh,
wow.
Been with us consecutively 48.
Oh, great.
That's
And another
really
one
a
right behind
testament.
her.
Yeah.
It is.
Amazing, right? Our speak time, that.
She deserves every last, I was hoping she'd say something today, talking about Miss Avery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was hoping she'd say anything.
Good enough.
She's amazing, I know.
Any other
She's out.
questions?
No. Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
48 years.
All right, to Moran Center?
Yeah.
My mom went through her,
It's just like, even if you're mad, I don't see it.
Yeah, right, mine.
Welcome.
Hello.
You guys wanna introduce yourselves?
Again.
My name is Kristen Kenner. I'm the Deputy Director and Director of Social Work Services.
My name is Patrick Keenan Devlin, I'm the Youth Defense Attorney.
Patrick is amazing.
Thank you.
I'll start. You projected 55 members served, you served 92. I'm going to talk about sort of, I suspect it's because of increased need, but don't want to assume.
Correct. There is obviously, as everybody has talked about, not only increased, but the, so we have also been able to do what we can, our small team, to help serve family members of clients, and so, and just in general, all of the case management, clients come through one of our legal programs. So that reflects the fact that there are just a lot of needs in regards to have, and when they have access to the case, that we also for a year or so, but prior to that had never done it before, had to start a wait list. So even serving as many as we can, quality that we need to, but also have a wait list for that too.
We do currently have a wait list.
We do. It is, short, I'm glad to say, but it's been more come on, partly because the support services to the city have opened up, and I am using every little bit that I can through that, so that we can get people services. You know, we do provide therapy through the Moran Center, as well as the case management piece of it, but that's generally one to the young people who come through, but we also have parents, other family members that are obviously a key piece of our client's success, and, you know, we want to be able to serve the whole family. For parents, and also some younger, really don't provide, to support services. So right now, I think our wait list is at about 5, so it's not, but I don't like it.
And what does that represent from a time perspective?
So in regards to like how long they've been on the
Yeah,
wait list?
or how long you would anticipate them sort of getting off of the wait list and into.
Yeah, so I can say that we have not kept somebody. We've been able,
Pretty good.
I'm overloading our case, but our goal really is, whether that is talking to the families and finding out if they are open to being, we want to try to keep as many services in-house as we can. Not always feasible, and people need services quicker, and so if we are able and they are open for us to refer, whether it's to community partners if something, fits, or again, now that we have the city's support service referrals, families that are open to that, then we will do that referral right away. Otherwise, if they are pretty particular about staying and wanting to stay in-house, which is understandable, and they're open to hanging on, then we do been able to keep that.
I'll ask a question, but even, I think your, number is also extremely low. Is that the max allowed for them too, like family focus, or was it just what you asked for?
I think, like, historically,
I'm sorry,
like, the largest that they've received. Do we remember
The
the
largest they've
historic
ever received,
allotment?
'cause theirs, this is
So I
low.
think this is, I actually think this is our largest, from the city, $75,000 figure.
Thank you, okay, so that's the request you made. Okay,
Carries
okay.
over from that.
Okay, so your services are endless, so I'm curious at how you cover costs.
And
How
this
do
is
you
just
guys
like part
do
of the braid, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
A lot of different brands that we are coming to.
And just to clarify, the 70 is for their, case management and social work services.
Mhm.
There's another award to help support a small portion of the attorneys.
Right, it's right here, I saw that, it's right here, yeah. I know that case managers don't make a lot anyway, so that's why I'm asking about, as a former case manager myself, so that's why I was asking the question. I can clearly see that it's right here. But, yeah, thank you for answering that question. You guys do incredible work. Incredible. Patrick has been around everywhere, and what I like the most is that you have your kids and stuff in Evanston too, you know, just like everybody else, so really appreciate that. I don't know you, so.
I'm sure you'll see.
Thank you. I wanna note, one, that you have the highest participation rate of Evanston residents that I'm seeing here, what is your overall budget?
2.1 million.
Okay, and so then that highlights
Thank you for allowing him to answer my question.
how little we, contribute as a city. I mean, unless there's, I don't know what other funding the city contributes. Is this really ballgame?
We receive, almost all of our city funding from the social services. We have a contract, sub-grantee with CDBG dollars, Parks and Rec
department program that we call the service, also extraordinary record release service.
Yeah, they're amazing. I've sent some clients through that, with Mr. Moraney, as far as the, getting things expunged and sealed. That's,
Mr. Moraney is the lead for the city,
Yeah.
and then our attorney, Ina Silverglide,
Mhm.
is our lead.
Right.
Great
mhm,
dynamic duo, and
Yep.
the contract this year from, Thompson is $40,000.
And then what is the Social Services Committee is granted, how much every year?
It varies, we,
How much this year, or last year, and what are we looking at for 2024?
That's fair, and I will have a memo in November.
Now.
I will. Historically, the award has been just under 800,000 from the city, so, not just under 7, I guess. We can help you.
So last year, we started around $730,000 in, success increase, so we landed at $1,036,000.
Mm-hmm.
This year, in our recommendation, we recommended that that was done for 2 years, and
Mhm.
so as part of the budget, that's been included.
Mm.
So that's what we're hoping for.
Okay, good.
And then, I'm sorry, we have about 200, close to 3, but usually around 200,000 from CDBG. And we, allocate that on estimate, we don't get our award until,
Fine.
right, the federal government
And it keeps going
decides on a
down.
budget, it
So
has
something
gone
to keep
down.
in mind. Yeah.
Basically, not a whole lot of money.
No, that's why I was kind of focusing on that small amount. I understand that it's just about case management here today and social services, but that dollar amount is so small. Even for that, case management is expensive from beginning to end, from the beginning of that, I call it file, to the closing of that file. It's a lot of work that goes into that, with all the different services and even
Yeah.
phone calls,
Yeah, and we actually even, are involved in case management through all of the legal programs that even once they're still, that closes, if they're still engaging and benefiting. Services and case management. So, years afterwards, they're still.
I think the whole pot is small, not necessarily.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I
that
mean,
is.
'cause
That was
that
what,
800, whatever it is, will
1.3.
1.36, right?
Will go quickly, and we're trying to continue what we've done, which is spread it around in different agencies. I will, just to clarify, I mean, I'm sure with some helpful, I don't wanna call it guidance, but answered questions from staff, the decision on what dollar amount to request is left to the agencies themselves, right? So I just wanna, I think it's important to bring that up. I hope y'all are being coached or pushed to request a certain dollar amount. Obviously, you have to, reflect on how much we have available and all the other agencies that are requesting funding, but I would imagine the final decision is made by the agencies themselves on how much they want to.
And behalf of my brothers and sisters, but I will say, I think, nonprofit leaders, whenever we're applying for funding, do it within the context of
Yeah.
our historical allotments, what you all have available. I think it would be disrespectful for us as nonprofits to ask for $1 million, even though I'm certain every executive would absolutely take it. I mean, I think we look at the pot, and then we look at, our historical trends and try, I mean, I also think you won't find an executive director in here who won't ask for increase year on year.
Right.
Which I'm sure is stressful to, city staff, but we, our costs increase every year, as does everybody, every household, the city. But I also think, I never really thought about this before, that we are a really collaborative. I think very often in Evanston, they don't collaborate. I mean, I was at 2 meetings today alone with Steve Beck.
Right.
And I was at two yesterday. I mean,
Yeah.
and so, I also think that the requests are balanced against, I know that Infant Welfare Society needs this money. I'm not gonna put forward a proposal for $1 million, because I need the teen baby nursery to be open,
Right.
because I have clients who use the teen baby nursery. So,
Yeah.
I think, although I've never really thought about it before, I think subconsciously that's factoring into all of our requests. We want
Yeah.
everyone to be funded, and I want everyone to be better funded than this. I know you all do it too, desperate.
I appreciate you saying it. I don't want people to think that we're shortchanging anybody. I think we're all trying to do the best we can with the money available. And anything that top line needs to increase, which is
Which we did
responsibility
that last
of
year,
myself
and
Councilman Reed, right?
we'll continue to
do that, but, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I appreciate you expounding on that, Bobby, because that's kind of where I really wanted to go, but
Yeah.
I'm glad you did, other than me.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to really get that out there. That's why I keep saying, is that what you requested, or,
Yeah,
you know, 'cause
yeah.
I just kind of want to know exactly what you said.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody is thinking the same thing you are. At least we can get this, you know.
I want to just comment on your contacts and service plan updates and, you know, really excellence in that. Yes, and
Absolutely.
ability to report on it as well, but like,
Right.
I mean, that's, outstanding that you have an update for service plan for every member you've served. You have new service plans for all of your new members. Very high level of contacts, very high level of goals achieved and referrals and services received, and, we're commending you on it, so.
Thank you. We really try to individualize. Some of ours looks like intensive outpatient services, right? And so some come and need to come to extra call on the days in between when they're not there. It just depends.
Question for staff, so service plans completed, what does that mean? Because people seem to be responding to that differently maybe, so I just want to make, or maybe I'm not understanding it correctly. What does service plans completed mean?
So I'm glad you asked. I hope, from the city's definition, it means that somebody has successfully accomplished all of the goals
Okay,
and is
that's how I was interpreting
exiting services, yes, with their needs met.
But then participants exited, and this it says 0, so would those two always match up or not necessarily?
That is a great question. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Right.
even though participants exit or complete their service plans, they might still be in contact with their case managers. And I think this is true for Connections and Family Focus, so they might not have a formalized service plan with goals anymore, but they're still calling up their case managers and.
Ours oftentimes with updates and whatnot, we may have completed what they originally started with, but they're popping up and adding to those goals. And so I know the way I answer that question, like you said, because they stay with us for quite a long time, and until they're actually exiting services,
Yeah,
we don't count it as a completed service
yeah,
plan.
that's good.
And I think the other question on there about exiting, I don't know if they're two separate questions, I don't have it in front of me, but if they exit because of like non-compliant or not following, right, then that's like, I think the difference of how I report out on completing a service plan or like not completing.
We have 3 service plans completed, 0 exits. It's not in front of you, just so you know what you.
And something you said kind of confused me now, because it's trying to now weigh it against the 3 and 0. So, but just to be clear, you're saying somebody could complete a service plan but not fully exit, and then you create like a new service plan for them, although they completed one, you're starting a new one?
So generally, the way we do it is we just go and update, right, their existing plan, they get to go and kind of check off their goals as they go along, and they may add new goals to that. So it's not necessarily like closing one out, for us, it's updating. So on there, with the 3 that are completed, our 3 who have completed and have exited our program, right?
So
We
they
find
should should probably say 3 exited as well, if that's just an error. Like,
I think the way that it acts on the report is with the exit is it's worded, or how I took it, is if they're like non-compliant, they exit because of not engaging in services.
oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Right,
So
so the
this-
ones who exited with the 3 completed services.
That would
So
make
the
sense.
other 3, we lost, like they
Got it.
stopped engaging.
Is that,
0 on that.
is that how they're supposed to be filling that up?
Yes. I'm sorry, my laptop is dead and I have my,
We can pick up on that later. I think it is important that we're all clear on
I will-
that, yeah.
Right.
There are a couple questions that it can get
a little bit.
confusing.
You can let us know what those are, or let, really Jessica know.
Just those 3 things, I think we figured it out now, unless I'm doing it wrong, so then I would need you to tell me.
No,
Maybe just
that's
give it a-
correct. And it does, the report does differentiate, and, yeah.
And not to go back to Family Focus, but that, what triggered this is, and then for Family Focus, it says 100 service plans completed and 100 total. So are they saying that in that time period, service plans were completed for all of them, or did you mean that you just literally completed like you created a new one, and you were just answering that the same way twice? So that, you probably need an updated number on that as well for some.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
And thank you to all of you for
Right, yeah.
joining us, for the work you do.
We have one more piece of business.
We have 2 more pieces of business.
Before we close it out, I actually just have one more question. Do any of the organizations, as far as you know, and they're here, but I'll pose the question to staff first, risk stratification at all for anybody, for any of the participants? So, yeah, so
Risk.
basically
High, moderate,
exactly.
low
So
risk.
you get a sense of the level of complexity in each individual or case, and kind of rate it basically from
Mm-hmm.
low to mod. I think it's typically how they do it, and then they may have added a fourth recently, which is higher risk. Our agencies, do you know if agencies do that? Y'all are here, y'all can answer. Is that a no? Sounds like a no.
For the COC program, part of the screening for the coordinated entry system, and so that creates a vulnerability index score.
Yeah.
And so basically, we'll have you sit down with a case manager, they screen you for different dimensions of risk, whether it be they have illness, substance use, they'll give a score, and that helps with placement.
So and I thought I missed this conversation. I'm still not sure if I did, but we're looking at the way we assess things. I'm gonna come back still with some recommendations, but I've finally gotten some time to do some research on this, and that's one of the best practices that they talk about in this work. And that I think it's a good number for this committee to track, because what I've been trying to do is like figure out, all right, what do the agencies need to focus, like, we don't need all the information the agencies have, but there are some numbers that, as a committee, we may wanna keep track of, and that's one of them that popped out recently, so I want to ask. And then 2, and I don't know if any of this information is proprietary, but it would be helpful for agencies that are willing to see like blank versions of your case management plans. So if everybody was willing to provide that to the committee, I think that would be incredibly helpful, along with those, any visits, to the facilities as well. A lot of shaking heads. Yeah, that would be really helpful. And that's all, Chair, thank you.
And that's to what he said, and that's the case managers, when they do the VIP that, or whoever is administrating it at your agency, if they're encouraged to really tell everything that's going on.
Right.
And the higher that score, obviously, the more the risk, and they can get help quicker.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is a good tool. I agree.
Any other discussion? To the next item,
I will move, adoption of the, I will move approval of the Social Services Committee Administrative Policies and Procedures.
Second.
Any discussion?
Was there anything that you flagged on this? I was, I looked through it and I didn't know if there's anything in particular that you wanted us to look at, or is this like routine?
Pretty routine,
Okay.
yeah.
We have to do it every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless
I do have some notes I can say, just, I'm mindful of time, but really, the changes were minor. It got us, standardized with our overall city ordinances, and the majority of the changes included expanded definitions, so like the working group or, the Roberts Rules of Order, I'm sorry, let me just a minute. Oh, it included more detailed definitions of parliamentary procedures, so motions, amendments, call the question, those types of things.
All right, I had a second,
I love it.
and Jessica, call the roll.
Oh,
Please.
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
Councilmember Burns.
Thank you. Yes, Chair Oldham,
Aye.
Vice Chair O'Hanian.
Aye.
Councilmember Reed?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
Renee Phillips? Kathy Hayes?
Aye.
Thank you, and Ken Rowland.
Aye.
Wonderful.
All right, I will move, are you looking to be renominated as chair?
If anyone is interested, would like to be chair, I would welcome the ability to nominate you myself. However, I believe I still have 1 year. I'm happy to continue to serve. It'll be my second child born while being chair of this committee.
We believe in you.
So,
You've done it before, maybe?
but really, if someone else wants the opportunity, it is a wonderful position.
I will say the same as vice chair, so if anybody wants to do that, I've done it for 2 years now.
Anybody want to
Do
be
you
chair?
want
Can we do
For which one?
acclamation?
Oh, no.
Does someone want to, I feel like there's a slight ask for relief, potentially.
I'm okay.
You're okay, okay, then
I'm okay, unless somebody, I'm okay.
I will nominate, Samantha Oldfry as chair and Derek Ohanian as vice chair, again, seconded by Kathy Hayes.
This will be our last year.
Someone definitely is gonna have to take over next year, so get prepared.
We'll make it work.
Well, just to confirm, so this conforms, yeah, you, that was, okay. But just to confirm, so this is our slate. We will, approve it at the next meeting unless there's, but, so if there are any other,
I'll move to make it official now.
Second. Before they let out.
I was like, I'm not gonna be at the next meeting.
So now you can,
okay.
All right, Jessica,
Oh,
please call the roll.
Yep. Carol, sorry.
Aye.
Vice Chair
Is it
O'Hanian.
right for me to vote for myself? Aye.
I was voting for
Late.
you.
Oh,
Erica.
yeah.
Great. Councilmember.
I voted for myself.
Yeah,
Councilmember Burns.
The thing.
Aye.
the only time I didn't, I lost.
Great.
Aye.
Kathy, thank you so much. And
Aye.
brilliant, thank you.
I know we wanna get out of here, but I always promise that we'll do a second public comment period. Any additional comments from our public participants?
I have a quick comment. I do think, it's something that I've been working on whenever I'm chairing a committee, particularly a committee outside of just council members, is I think I think staff should also work on this, setting, I personally think these meetings start kind of late. But, you know, if we're gonna start at this time, I think we should have a clear window of how long the committee meeting is gonna be, and we should try to stick to that as much as possible. So if we're gonna shoot for an hour, then it should be an hour, and we should, you know, continue the meeting. Or if it's gonna be an hour and a half, 2 hours, hopefully not more than 2 hours. So I think, you know, attention spans are about an hour and a half. There's been some research on that. So I think as close to that as we can get, we should try. And we got Nick out there, who's the staff person who wants to get home. He's got to clear out once we leave.
And you do have a staff report, I do.
Oh, okay. No.
Okay, so just quickly, Kathy Hayes and I did attend the Wraparound Evanston meeting that
Correct.
was Tuesday. I don't need to say any more about that. I can send out a schedule of additional meeting dates and topics should other members want to attend. We're following best practices though, so in short, the agencies are doing great work. Kathy, did you want to say anything?
Minutes or notes from the wraparound? Here,
You know what, I
or
don't
ask Ally maybe?
have
There
any
was a
minutes.
conversation about sending out some of the documentation that was presented by the Milwaukee group to those attendees. Of course, we would be more than willing to share with this committee. Many of the people that are here, some of my table mates, were also were there to, it was an overview of, what has happened in Milwaukee, how they've consolidated issues regarding a wraparound center service model, and how that, the purpose, the outcome, the process, and the buy-in for that. I personally see that there will probably be a lot of challenges because it's something new and different that we've been trying to do for, I don't know, 170 years now. But, it is unique in the way it can be folded in with finance and, other skills, other tools, let me say, in the hopes that that will work. So there are more meetings coming. There are more things scheduled. They do take a very big chunk of your day. Let us be honest about that. So some people have, tight schedules, and these folks are definitely, serving a lot of people during the day, but some of them are from 9 to 3. So you know that up front. But there will be some more working sessions for people to articulate what their understanding is, about the process, how it can work here in Evanston, and who else can buy in to help it work here.
It might be worth having a representative from that group take 10, 15 minutes of our time, to discuss that at a future meeting.
I'm so glad you said that. We actually have Ally Harned joining us virtually, and she is,
Hey, Ally.
she'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she's a mental health task force participant.
Yes.
If not, with a co-chair.
Coordinator.
And the mental health task force will be at our meeting in October to present on community needs.
Yes, I'm here. I don't know if you can see me.
Ally.
Hi, friends. How are you? Good to see you all, I guess. Good to watch you all on Zoom from my kitchen. My attention span is still here, but that's because I'm multitasking. But I think you're right about an hour and a half, Devon. But I just wanted to see if there were any questions I could answer. I think the presentation that the Mental Health Task Force is already planning to do is a great time to present some more information about it. And Kathy, I hear what you say about the long days for sure. They're working meetings, and so the idea is that we're going to get a lot of work done during the meetings. They're not just. Oh, that was. Can you see me still? Sorry, I thought my internet was going out.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
We hear you.
Okay, fine. I got a little spinning thing. The idea is that we're going to get a lot of work done at the meetings, and there's going to be work to be done between meetings as well. It's just, this is a new thing, and it is, or a new, additional enhanced way of doing what we've all been doing for a long time. And the idea is that we'll be then able to have better and more cohesive collaborations between organizations, and really be able to empower our families that we work with to reach their goals. So hopefully it'll all be worth the investment of time. That's the idea. And there will be an email sent out with a follow-up from the Milwaukee, and the notes that were taken, and the presentation that was given. And many thanks to those who attended. We just haven't had a chance to get together yet to write that email, but we will.
Perfect,
Thank you, Ally.
Thank you, Ally.
Any,
Let me
Also for
know if you have any questions.
I'm sorry. I did send, Patty Capuch was featured in an article from the Roundtable, which was sent to committee members with the presentation from Wraparound Milwaukee, a different presentation from Wraparound Milwaukee. But I'm happy to resend that email. And up on the screen, we do have the, schedule of the upcoming Wraparound meetings. I will pass along any information that I get from the Mental Health Task Force.
Come and join us.
Can anybody
Would love
explain this model in 30 seconds?
No,
Ally?
but I think they're coming next month to do that.
I'm doing this.
I can.
I think some of the most powerful things they're simple, and my concern that we've been talking about this now for like 5 minutes, and everybody's like dancing around exactly what it is. But if you could explain it in 30 to 60 seconds, I would be greatly appreciated, but also think it would say something about the true power of the model.
I can do that.
Ally, if I could go, I'm willing to do it too.
Oh, should I quiz you and see if you got it?
Yeah, sure. So wraparound services provide, case management that is both trauma-informed and, uses strength-based, models to connect, to work with participants to create a service plan that is participant-driven and that provides warm handoffs, for referrals to additional community supports. And then there is an advocacy component where participants, once they reach stability, can also, not only help others, but advocate and become, grassroots advocates for themselves in the community. Oh, and there's also the trauma-informed, or the crisis, the component, for mental health.
Yes.
I love that last part, but how did I do?
No, that's all good. I mean, it's a strengths-based program and it's meant to like wrap around families and individuals and really support them to reach their goals. And it's more than just warm handoffs. It's like organizations working together to build a family up, and it's meant to be transformational and not just transactional. That was one of my takeaways that I really enjoyed on Tuesday. Does that do it?
But I hold them. Yeah, that was good. It was a good start. Thank you, Evan.
All right, and with that,
You bet.
No further business.
no further business before us, we are adjourning.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a WCW nerd, and so I was watching Chicago Tonight a couple months ago.
Oh, did
And
you?
like, oh, our chair's on.
I was on redeterminations, I think, right? I assume?